Hey friends, I hope you're doing really well. This is Tracy Brown, and my team and I do what we feel like we provide in the world is a relatively safe enough space to hold space for all the fight, flight, freeze or please around food and body, and learn how to help food, ingest and digest that as normatively as we can, and that feel safe. And so in this week's videos is going to be a little different, which I'm very excited to do. And I'll give you a little backstory. Is that yesterday I really wasn't planning on doing this. I just put a little comment here on Facebook, and those of you watching YouTube will get to see that too. Actually, I'll read that to y'all first. So the comment I put was, I want to do some body image support for folks this week. And I said, if you feel up to it, what are some thoughts you have that aren't helpful, but you fall into believing it again and again? So I'll read that again. This was my statement out there, just as an invitation to think. And I know better, but they pop up anyway, or I find myself getting sucked back into it and I don't really want to. So I'll read this again so you understand the context of what we're doing today, okay? So I said, if you feel up to it, what are some thoughts you have aren't helpful, but fall into believing or thinking, and they get kind of reinforced again and again? All right. So I think sometimes it's really hard when you've read some stuff, literally you've gotten yourself immersed in the non-diet world, or at least you're non-diet curious. I wasn't born hating my body, or having problems with food or weight necessarily. So when did that shift? Or is there something else? Because all we've ever been offered is it's normal to not like your body. Is that all there is? So once you start to go down that rabbit hole, right, of learning, oh, this is actually not natural to hate yourself and your body. This is learned. And so maybe I can unlearn this. Well, what happens is as you do that unlearning process, it takes a long time to build new neural pathways. And sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes we didn't recognize how much diligence it takes to build new neurobiology around this. And then sometimes we're just continually still getting triggered and we don't really know how to separate ourselves from it, basically. So the point of this post today was really to support you all. And I wasn't expecting, honestly, so many comments. Usually people are I feel like this audience is a lot of deep thinkers, but they don't always express things in the comments. So this prompt got so many comments that it's probably going to take us 2 or 3 videos to get through them all, because I thought, why not turn this into a suggestion coaching kind of thing and just be, a community and do this for each other. So that's what we're going to do today in this video. I'm not going to teach a lot of stuff. I'm going to offer an alternative, basically, to some of your thoughts. All right. So bear with me today. I don't want to make this video too long. I don't want people to lose interest and start to check out. I will disclaim here, this isn't actual nutrition or trauma counseling or coaching. I'm just looking at these comments and going to be a compassionate witness and kind of mirror for you how to do it with yourself. And if you find that you need more deeper, some of these comments, I could talk honestly through these an hour each, to be honest, but we're not going to do that for sake of time. But what I'm going to do is get through a handful. Let's say I'll do 10, and then we'll just keep working our way through it till I finish them all basically this week. So we might have 2 videos, we might have 5. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So we're just doing something different today. So thank you so much to all the brave souls out there that when I asked this question, really, really authentically wrote what their head says. And I mean, I don't know. I'm blown away by that. I just think it's so awesome when people are honest and don't try to, hide, save face, whatever. It's so, it's so brave just to be this is what my head says. I don't love it. I don't want it to be there. All right. Well, let's work on that. I love it. Let's get after it. All right. So I'm just going to read a handful here, and then I've got actually this kind of conversation with other places too. So I'm just going to read the thing and give a response, and I'll keep on working through them. All right. So the first one here, I'm not going to read names either, just for sake of a little extra privacy. If you really want to figure it out, you can go search, right? I'm just going to read the comment about the struggle, okay? So this first one is feeling fat in the exact shorts I loved. So I bought another pair and paid a little bit more money for them. I'm not sure what the relevancy of that is, but it doesn't matter. They fit exactly the same. So I bought them because of size, and I didn't even look in the mirror. But not because of size. Love the fabric, and they felt just right and comfortable. And I'm going to fill in some blanks here because I'm not for sure exactly what this means, but it says makes no sense other than possibly a trauma response from the past week. And this person said also, sadly, I have not had time to watch the I Feel Fat video. So there's a lot to unpack in here. What I'll say is that some of this person was wearing a pair of shorts that they typically feel comfortable in, and possibly because of, when you are in a fight, flight, freeze, or please scenario, you're going to feel a lot more sensation inside your body. It's not in your head, it's in your body. Your brain is going to interpret those sensations as something. So if you still have some like fat phobia or fat bias or prejudice, the dysmorphia kind of kicks in and you start to think of yourself as bigger than what you are. And so this person is right. If you take some time, you can search here on Facebook. You could put my name in YouTube and find I Feel Fat, and you'll get a lot of decoding skills videos. So we won't really go through it in this video, but you know where you can find those things. And do a study. Get your notebook, get your pen, and start like, I feel fat means I feel uncomfortable. What is actually happening right now that feels uncomfortable? What am I telling myself about these feelings and discomforts? And then just follow the trail, and then you'll find like, wow, that is a lot inside to like not only feel scared, but also blame myself for feeling scared, and blame the person for making me feel scared, and all the things. It goes on and on and on, right? Okay, so there's that one. I'll keep moving. All right, this next person says that thoughts that they have that they wish they didn't have about their bodies, but they kind of still find themselves falling back into like maybe it's true, is that this person feels that their husband is grossed out when they touch their stomach. And, sometimes that is maybe that, I don't know of this person, so maybe that's based on some past not so great lived experiences. Maybe that's based on what we've seen other people talk about bellies and making the assumption. So the projection is that like other people have said bad things about bellies. So my husband thinks how everybody else thinks, and maybe on some level how I think too, that maybe I think this is gross. And so for this person, I'd like you to just start to consider like, where did I hear this? How old is this? How familiar is this? And is it true? Is it true? And if it's not true, what part of me still holds on to that? That maybe nobody else thinks that besides just the conditioning that I learned. And if we learned it, again, we can unlearn that. That the only place that we ever learned that bellies are gross is programming. That's it. People have bellies, some bigger ones, some smaller ones. Bellies change over time. And really look at like what's the agenda of making people feel like that their bellies are gross. That's the things you gotta really investigate. And then you can decide, do my values align with that kind of programming? And who do I want to be, basically? So there's a little suggestion to go with that one. The next one is, and remember, some of these are tough. So people were really, really honest about the thoughts they have in their head. And we're working on some stuff to unpack that today, right? So if you didn't write in, but you're like, oh yeah, I had those thoughts too. Isn't it great? You're not the only one. Isn't it sad that we're not the only ones? And it's time to start ungluing ourselves that these thoughts are true. We have this programming. Doesn't mean it's true though, right? So what we're doing today in this video, just as a reminder, is we were creating a compassionate witness. We're being really curious and compassionate about the things we think. We're being a witness to it without judging it, blaming it. I shouldn't be thinking this way. You don't have to like your thoughts for sure, and you certainly don't want to have to act on these thoughts. But the thoughts make us feel bad, and we have to really challenge that. Like, do I want to walk around thinking things that make me feel bad all the time? And you didn't do anything wrong, right? So this one says, my brain says a lot that I'm ugly and I'm enormous and I will never feel good again. So gosh, guys, all love and empathy out to this person, that they have these beliefs that the size of their body has something to do with their beauty, or that they'll never be good at feel good. And I don't know if feel good means emotionally good, physically good. Not sure what that means, but it's really important to capture those thoughts, right? To like, wait, who says that I'm ugly? Who says that being in a bigger body is a condition for feeling good, physically, mentally, emotionally? Who says that? And it could be, if you're not feeling good right now, is that emotional? Is that physical? And really start unpacking, is it my beliefs about this that make me feel bad? Is there some, maybe some self-care juice we could use to feel physically better and emotionally have more love and acceptance towards ourselves? What's going on here? All right. And really the most important thing is like, who told you those things? So this is to this commenter, who told you those things? Right? And you start to like get down to the bottom of it. And do you agree with that? Who says? Okay. The next one says it's kind of similar, that I can't look good in the body I have now. That's really interesting. I always think about that, is we do live in a very, as you know, very external, not really looking into the depth, into the soul of things before we look into what the externals say, right? We tend to have very like fleshly eyes and not very deep, bigger picture kind of value for everyone kind of eyes. That's just the conditioning and programming of our culture. And I think there's this level of like, one, what makes it important to look good, and what does good mean? What are the standards that you have? Because everybody, honestly, we all think we have the same beauty standards or standards by which other people think are attractive, and we have to check that. Like, we see people attracted to all kinds of people all the time, but we have our thin blinders on, so we tend to think that everybody thinks maybe how our biases are, those kind of things. So when I see these phrases, I can't look good in the body I have now, it's like, well, who says? And if you want to go a little deeper with that, is like, is that your goal? And that's okay, I get, I'm going to say from my own bias that, I had those feelings and thoughts too one time in my life, and it just gets to the point where it's like, I just don't want to be an object. I want to be a subject. I want to be doing stuff, and some people are going to think that I'm attractive and some people aren't, and okay. It's not really anything to do with me. I look the way I look, and I don't have a ton to do with that, right? So, and I'm not really in control of other people's biases or opinions about it either. And I'm not saying that there's not qualities about me that wouldn't make people think that I'm appealing. It's just I don't really give it that much. It doesn't seem to hold a whole lot of sway in my life. Maybe partly because I just don't allow it. There could be some to that. Now that's my experience. That's not everybody's experience. If you've had an experience of being rejected and being told certain things, that will feel really important. And so there's no denial about that. But it's more about, is that what you want? Is to feel like you have to look good, to be something, to have something, to attract people. Because the reason about attractive, if you take off the IVE, the word is attract. Who am I wanting to attract? Because I always tell my clients, like, be careful what you wish for. If you're trying to get a body that looks good to people, you'll end up actually kind of getting people, especially if you pursue that's very, very important to them. And I know I fall into that trap too. And that's what made me learn, honestly, some of these lessons is like, oh, if I think I'm pursuing a look for people to accept me or like me, I'm going to get people that's really, really important to on some level. And if I lose the look, I'm probably going to lose that. And that's exactly what happened. So obviously for me, lesson learned for sure. Because what I was doing to look a certain way for someone wasn't sustainable, and caused me lots of years of misery. And so we want to be really careful, like one who says you don't look good already, it just may not be to everybody. And why do we need everybody to be okay with us? Something to think about. Next one is, what people think about how I physically change matters too much to me. It spirals me into this panic, so I shut down and I don't go anywhere, or I cancel plans. today I was going to go to dinner with a bunch of people from high school. I'm going to dinner. So this person kind of started talking about where the words were struggling, but they decided to like kind of push through that anyway. This person said, I'm going to go to dinner with friends from high school. I'm not going to let those thoughts keep me from seeing my good friends. Good for you. I know that's scary to like kind of sit in the waiting of like, as you're there and you're present with people, are they going to like me for me? Are they going to reject me because of, you know, my body changing, whether it's weight gain or aging or whatever happened, that in the past would make you just isolate, right? This is a big piece of programming, thinking like I can only be seen, I can only be visible if I look a certain way. And clearly that's a very protective strategy from getting hurt, right? We can all agree with that. So the reason that sometimes if we've changed that matters to us, and what people think is because we want to belong, we want to be safe in relationships. And if you have a history of not being safe in relationship based on maybe external or fear of being judged or rejected, you carry that with you until you start to like, number one, unglue yourself from this idea that they were right to reject you and that you deserved it just because they said it. People say all kinds of hurtful, stupid things all the time based on their own misunderstandings, ignorance, biases, whatever they're doing, right? And we personalize it. The reason we personalize it because it probably happened at a time when we were in a vulnerable situation and we didn't have any resources or ability to disagree, to get out of there, whatever. So this is really usually pretty old stuff. So the goal here would be to do the hard thing anyway, if you can, at least start at the beginning and unpack that. Like, how familiar is it that, like, you know, I get, like, in panic, not even, like, nervous, but we're talking panic, like, existential angst, that there's nothing good here for me, and if I'm not a certain way, I can't be here, I can't show up, I can't be visible, I can't exist. That's pretty hardcore, right? So you want to be curious, like, gosh, like, is it true that right now, in this moment, 2020, whatever, that there isn't anything good enough for me or good around me, relatively safe enough, that even if one people or all the people rejected me, that I still just can't fully show up in my life how I am? Is it true that I can't do that? And, you know, so let's see how far it goes from there, like what deeper stuff you get. Okay? And, all right. This last one, it takes a lot of guts, you know, to say this. And I hear this a lot in my individual sessions, not so much online because people feel safer, you know, sometimes individually. But here are things I hear is that two things. Unfortunately, I judge other people's bodies just as harshly as I feel I always have been judged. That makes sense, right? You treat people how you've been treated sometimes. And the only antidote for that is to like, I want to treat people how I want to be treated, right? I have to train myself out of it, but it's a process. Totally true. Good. Example, she shouldn't be wearing that. He needs to hit the gym. So you're hearing these negative thoughts. A really great thing for this is like, where did I get that internal monologue that I have, that I know anything about anybody else is appearance based on what they're doing, what they look like, what's going on. Like, 1984, 1989, 1999, 2003, watching TV at grandma's house, criticizing Oprah's weight changes again. That's where I learned that that's okay. I didn't feel okay about it, but I heard it. And since nobody disagreed, I just thought that that's like what adults do to each other. So I have to watch out for that, and kind of absorbed in me, basically. You really want to like, oh, well, I don't want to continue that legacy. That's not who I want to be. That's not my values. That's just what I learned, right? So that's just one way to kind of proceed with that. And secondly, I still walk into every room, and if I'm this person's the fattest person, I feel bad. Well, that's conditioning. That's actually mind control. That is a part of the unspoken rules of diet culture is competitiveness. That like the thinnest person wins, the fattest person loses. You know, that's how it works, you know. And it's like, no. You could be the biggest person in that room and like command the space just because, again, you treat everybody how you want to be treated, and you're attuned and you're interested in people and you're connected. That's like honey to flies, you know, versus thinking you've got to be look a certain way. to get people. And there's a manipulation in that, right? It's like, I've got to look a certain way to get somebody to be okay with me. And that will never be connecting. That will never feel satisfying. It's kind of like, when you wanted steak and you ate popcorn, or when you wanted popcorn but you ate broccoli, or you ate broccoli when you wanted cotton candy. It's like, you can eat the thing, you can do the thing, but it's not going to land as like something, a need was met. Same thing with this. If we continue to engage in those competitive things to prove that you're worth something, you have value and worth based on what you look like, you're going to feel bad, right? And so it's time to really just sit back and like, why are we even all here in this room? Is that what we're here to do? Or are we here to connect? What's really going on here? And if you actually walk into a room where it's this big superficial party, you're going to feel a disconnection. You might not feel like you belong there because maybe, that's not your space and that's not your people. That's okay. That's okay. But this is how we start to actually, instead of just always talking about bodies and the obvious issues that we've learned about value and love and respect and just feeling like you deserve to exist. I mean, those are the deep things we need to be talking about, not just exactly what we look like, because people of all shapes and sizes have body image issues, and it's because of our woundedness, how we were treated. It's not because inherently everybody at this certain kind of size has a body image issue. People do for all kinds of reasons. Now, if you're in recovery and you're recovering into or have always had a larger body, it's a little different because you're working also against the level of like everybody else's body image issues and biases. And it can feel doubly hard sometimes. And so it's really important that you have compassion for that if you're in that situation. I know I hear you and here to have your back around that. That's tough. I hate it for you. And it's just one of those things that I think it's really important to like name all the levels of conditioning and also know that we've learned some things. We can unlearn that as well. It takes time and a lot of compassion. And if you're having thoughts that you don't like, but you know better around, know that those thoughts are just still overcoupled with either certain emotions or certain kinds of environmental outside of you triggers that once you start to uncouple that, oh, that color, oh, that month, oh, that tone of voice, pull me right down that vortex again. Your job is to learn about the triggers. And remember, your body's the container. And if we're having a body image dysmorphia kind of moment, it's because we're looking at ourselves on the outside to this inside lens of feeling too much. My emotions are too much. I shouldn't be feeling this. I'm judging it. I'm suppressing it. I got to get out of here. I got to go back to diet culture, at least feel like I'm trying somewhere, something, that other people, it makes sense to, that I'm doing too. Remember, it's like an inside out job. That's what body image is. So it's really important, like if you're feeling things kind of up and down, it's because when you're feeling pretty stable with your body image and not judging and trashing yourself, it's probably because you're feeling relatively safe, or maybe like you have some agency. And when you don't, there's some coupling here with blaming your body for it. The emotions, the circumstance, the relationship thing, whatever it is, all right? And so that's your job, is to learn how to be a compassionate witness to that. So, excuse me, I think I'm going to stop there. I've talked a long time, and I hope this is helpful. So I went through in detail-ish for me, on a 5 or 10 minute video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got through 6, and then I guess I don't know how long it was, a while. So every day I'm going to just take this. I'm going to choose between 5 and 10. Just going to do them in order that I receive them, from the top to the bottom. And, if yours wasn't spoken about today, I'm going to get to it, I promise. I'm going to do as many videos as I need to this week to go through all of these, just to provide you all with some encouragement, some education, something to try, right? And know that if you need more support, you know where to look, who to ask. So I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue this like kind of statement Q to the A. I'll give answers and suggestions to the statements and the questions till we get them all done this week. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. If you want to add something more to this, please. If I missed something that you felt like you totally missed the point there, or I want to give you more detail, please do that, and I'll explain more. I'd be happy to do it. So thank you so much. And I will see you all in probably tomorrow's video. We're going to keep cranking. See you then.